your end? Excellent. Ali, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. Ali, so I heard about you last week. A few of my friends went down to Perform X and obviously met yourself and instantly messaged me because obviously you probably know yourself. I guess they've told you about what I do.
Yep.
And that's like, you got to speak to this guy. You got to get him on your podcast. You got to talk to him. He's created a really cool app. So yeah, here I am. Dropped you a message. I thought I'd give it a few days because I know after events like that, you tend to get tagged in loads of stuff and probably message loads as well. So I thought I'll give it a couple of days, let that sort of calm down, and then I'll drop you a message. So awesome. Here we are after all that.
No, thanks for reaching out.
Appreciate it, man. Cool. So Ali, whenever I get a guest on, I like to find out a little bit of background information about themselves. So please, the floor is all yours. Tell me who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's obviously Ali Jawad, and my kind of career has actually been in elite parasport. So I've competed at 4 Paralympic Games, and I won silver at the Rio Paralympics in powerlifting. So I used to be quite strong. Used to is the word there. But yes, I think recently I've started a PhD in anti-doping in parasport. And now I'm branching out to the business world. But yeah, my background's actually elite sport.
Wow, cool. How did you get into powerlifting then, Ali? Because obviously you're a Paralympian. Tell us a little bit about how you became a Paralympian.
Yeah, so I guess I had the dream of going to the Paralympic Games when I was 6, so quite young. I watched a man called Michael Johnson at the 96 Olympic Games in Atlanta, and I felt that actually I want to do what he was doing. Now, obviously, having no legs, I can't run. So I had to find a sport that I was actually quite good at. And I found powerlifting when I was 16. My friend kind of forced me to go to the gym across the road from the school. And I started bench pressing. And on my first day in the gym, I bench pressed 100 kilo.
Wow.
And I didn't know what that meant because I didn't know what weights were.
I mean, that's a pretty good milestone. If that's your first bench press session, 100 kilo, that's what people can be chasing for a little while, that one.
But well, yeah, so that's why I got found in the gym by the owner, and he said, like, you have to come back. If this is your first time, you're obviously quite young. And that's where I got found. And yeah, luckily I said yes, and the rest was history, I guess.
Oh, amazing. So if you don't mind me asking, how did you lose your legs?
Oh, I was born like this, so it's a very boring story.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, for me, like, it's always been normal for me to not have legs.
Yeah. So how have you found? So I guess if you've never had legs, you've always known what that's like. So are you a wheelchair user? Do you use prosthetics or?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, it was both, but I used to hate legs. I used to hate walking in them. They were uncomfortable. I used to walk like a penguin. The legs couldn't bend. They were straight. So it was very uncomfortable. So when I was 11, I decided to give them up and just use the wheelchair full time because I felt more independent. I felt faster. I felt more mobile. And yeah, I've completely, just kind of forgot about the legs.
So that's quite a common thing I found with especially a lot of my clients that are wheelchair users, that some of them can use frames, but they've almost gone to the wheelchair because it does make them feel a bit more normal and a bit more able to get about. And so one of the things was, as you just said, with the walking aspect of it, where you found you walked like a penguin. Some of my clients have said, like, I just felt people looked less like at me when I was in my wheelchair as opposed to when I'm in my frame, because you can see the disability a little bit more, I think. So
yeah, I'm the type of person that I don't care who looks at me because I'm very, very, very comfortable in my own skin and my disability. I don't really see myself as less able than anybody else because I think I've developed attributes that actually matches anybody. So for me, I don't really care. It's just that I felt that having legs on actually made me like less mobile. And they actually used to hurt my stumps. So they're quite uncomfortable. So yeah, the wheelchair was the way forward for me.
So do you have a knee joint at all, or is it above knee?
Yeah, so one leg is below the knee and one is through the knee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so different lengths. So that means when I'm on my stumps, I'm just like wobbling from side to side.
Because it is for a lot of people that don't know, it's it's very different, isn't it? Having a below the knee to above the knee amputation, or if you're missing a leg from above the knee or below the knee, it's very different in regards to how you move, and even down to like the exercise prescription you might do as well.
Yeah, so for me, I guess the difference in limb length isn't that much, so I'm quite lucky in that sense. There's not a significant difference that hinders me, so I'm actually really like mobile. Yeah, but the issue is that like so when I am on my stumps, I'll probably lean to one side, so I have to like do the splits to make sure that I'm right.
Did you find like wearing the prosthetic legs as well, like because it was obviously a different length, etc.? Did you find that caused you any imbalances in walking and stuff like throughout the rest of your body?
Yeah, so it made me like left leg dominant because my left leg is below the knee and my right leg is through the knee. So arguably the right side was the weaker side. And I guess when you have prosthetics, even though they make it the same length, you are dominating to one side, which actually imbalances the whole of your body because you're using muscles in the kind of the left side rather than the right. So you're actually, you're not very symmetrical, I guess.
Yeah, which can be a huge problem for anyone with a disability as well. Like you can find that you do develop these imbalances over time, and especially if you've got limb difference as well. That's one of the things I'm exploring with one of my clients at the moment. So one of my clients, he has a CP, but he has one leg slightly shorter than the other. So it's just about finding ways around how can we still engage the entire body doing the same movements as we would like. So for example, like a deadlift, how would we adapt to deadlift? I mean, it seems quite simple to maybe someone like you or I, how to do that, but I thought it was quite great to start pushing that out there. So like, for example, I've just put a plate under his foot just so we can, so it's raise that leg, and then doing the exercise, we can still get that same stimulus throughout the movement, like the deadlift. We can still engage that posterior chain, both hamstrings are getting engaged, both glutes are getting engaged. So it's really interesting. I found that quite fascinating with a lot of my athletes and keeping that symmetry throughout the movements and obviously keeping them injury free as well.
Yeah, injury free part is important.
Extremely important. So which is one of the reasons as well I wanted to reach out to you, because you have created an app. Let's talk more about this app, shall we?
Yeah, so it kind of came to me by accident, really. So during the first lockdown, obviously the Paralympic Games got postponed by a year. And obviously when you're isolated, you kind of have more time to think and reflect. I think that's what a lot of people did. But I was kind of training from my living room, but also doing my PhD at the time. But I was actually quite, I had a lot of free time on my hands. And what that allowed me to do was to kind of reflect on my career and ask myself the questions of, have I achieved enough? Did I do everything that I possibly can to reach my potential? And you kind of reflect on, just basically your career. Because I probably thought that Tokyo potentially could be my last one. And I thought, kind of what next? And the one thing that I looked back on my career wasn't about, the medals or what I lifted or anything like that. It was actually when I first started in the gym, I never questioned anybody about why I was the only disabled person in the gym. Because back, we're talking about 17 years ago, I never saw disabled people in the gym at all. And I thought, well, you never asked the question of why. Now, is it because, you're adaptable, you love challenges and you don't let anything stop you? And because you have competed at such an elite level, maybe you are privileged because you've had the best coaching, the best facilities in the world. So maybe actually you're out of touch with the disability community. You don't know what the barriers are. And I thought to myself, has that changed in 17 years? Has the fitness industry got better? And the answer is, I still don't see many disabled people in the gyms.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree with you. But before I got into what I'm doing now, I didn't see it either. And then once I started working with people and asking these questions and exploring it, it was like, wow, there is not, is there? There's not. No.
And I guess I thought to myself, well, surely with the fitness app industry, for example, there's over 70,000 health and fitness apps in the Apple Store and Google Play. So I did my research and I thought, I'd like to see if there's any disability specific apps out there, like fitness apps, because I'd love to see how they do things. kind of to also compare my experiences with the app. And after a few hours, I was like, wait a minute, I can't find any. Now, am I looking in the wrong places, or is there generally none that really cater specifically for disabled people? And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, I don't think it exists. So I thought, well, if it did exist, what features as a disabled person I'd want in there to make it more accessible? Then I started kind of writing a few things on paper and, just kind of brainstorming to myself. And then I thought, wait a minute, I think this can be done. Like, why can't it be done? But I had a few issues. One, I've got no tech knowledge. I can't code. I'm not a tech engineer. And two, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a business person. I've got no experience. I'm just literally an elite athlete with loads of experience at the elite level. But recreationally, I don't. I've got no clue. So it makes me actually not that relatable to the disability community. So I called my now co-founder and said to him, look, I've got this crazy idea, but I need somebody to tell me it's, impossible and I'm crazy, or it can be done. If it can be done, how we can do it. So when I messaged him, he's like, oh my God, that's nuts. But actually, because it's you, I think you can do it, because you are adaptable. You do like learning and you do like challenges. So yeah, for about a week, we decided, right, we're going to, kind of fine tune the features and what they actually did. And then we're going to get app development companies to pitch to us. So we pick one. And then, that's how it started, really. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
so have you got an app development company working with you now?
Yeah. So we've outsourced the company. They were based in Kiev in the Ukraine. So I've had
oh, wow. Okay.
So I've had a very eventful couple of weeks, to say the least. But they're safe, they're fine, which is the most important thing. But yeah, they've been incredible from the very start. They've done everything that we've said of them, and the communication is really high. The quality of work's incredible. And yeah, we launched the app in the UK last July.
Mm-hmm. So how has the uptake been on the app? I mean, I installed it actually the other day, but I wanted to have a look at it and explore it a little bit more and see what I could do. So obviously, I'll let you explain a little bit more about it. So how does the app work? So I'm a new guy. I've just right, okay, I want to find this app. I want to create a workout, or however it works. What's the process?
Yeah. So when I looked at the fitness industry, like globally, it's all about giving training programs out. It's all about giving personalized programs out, when actually, it's not personalized, it's just a generic thing to scale.
Of course, yeah.
And I thought, well, with disability, every impairment is complex, and nobody is a world-leading expert on every single impairment. And there's actually not enough research globally to actually give these impairments a recommended exercise protocol. Because I wanted the app to be evidence-based rather than, plucking it out from social media. Because we see a lot of videos where there's workouts, but it's not really evidence-based. It's more like life experiences. And I felt that actually disabled people, one, deserve better. And two, how do you really empower disabled people to take responsibility of their own journeys if an able-bodied person is telling them what to do? So I decided the way the app's going to work is that we empower the user to create their own training programs or their own training sessions. So what that does is you educate them throughout by giving them all the information. So what we do is as a new user, just say, obviously I'm a double amputee. When you sign into the app, we ask you what your impairment is. And then we give you a unique specific impairment video exercises. It's like a library where we list, basically it's got video exercises of every single exercise for that impairment, ranging from every muscle group and every difficulty. And what the user does is actually go, I like this, I like this, I like this. And they literally just favor whatever they like. And they get to create their own training sessions themselves. Because actually the user is the expert on their impairment and I'm not. My role is to give them that information and they get to do whatever they want with it. And that way they get empowered, they get educated, and we guide them through it. But yeah, that's like the kind of the basis of the whole app.
Okay, so I think that's the key thing you've just said there as well, is the user is going to know a lot more about their own impairment than yourself. And it might be the case that they understand their impairment, their capabilities, their limitations, but at the same time, they don't understand maybe the types of exercises that they can do. So same as like myself being an able-bodied guy. I remember when I first started training, you know, I'd go onto bodybuilding.com, and I'd find go onto bodybuilding.com,
the science behind that.
And I'd grab a program off there, and you know, and it would be generic. It would be like you know, you'd follow the Arnold program, the Arnold blueprint, I think it was at the time, or the Chris Gerfin program as well. And but it wasn't specific to the user, and I don't think someone with a disability or an impairment could actually. They could, I guess, they could to a certain extent,
but they have to adapt.
But maybe because it's not got that label of, like, it's similar to your app, it's not got that label. It's like, oh, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I can't do this.
So what's I think unique about the video exercise that we offer is the demonstrator is somebody of your impairment.
Yeah.
That's the unique feature, because what that does is it's relatable to the user. They get to see how an exercise has been adapted to their impairment. And also, I guess it creates like a sense of community that actually it can be done and it can be adapted. You just have to have, you know, the right guidance. And that's all it is. It's just all about education. So yeah, we don't offer any training programs. We let the user do it themselves, which I think is, you know, a key feature. And the other two features in the app are, there's a social hub where users can share their workouts or their training sessions with their friends and their followers, and you get to like it and share it and comment and stuff. So it creates like a sense of community, and you get to communicate with other impairments on how they do things. And then the third feature is, I think it's my personal favorite, it's called the Explore section, where users can rate the accessibility of gyms or sporting facilities in the local area. Now, what that does is two things. One, users get to see what's the most accessible kind of gyms out there for them in their areas. But also, if the gyms and facilities score low, they get to understand why and how to actually get better. So it's like a two-way feedback, which actually is
I was going to say that. I was going to say that's quite cool. I really like that, because there is apps out there that sort of I can't think of some of them, like Pay As You Gym. There's different apps and stuff. You can go online and you can look and go, right, okay, this gym, I don't know, for example, Everlast or Fitness First or whatever, has got a swimming pool, etc., but it doesn't really say much about disability access. And I think that's one of the key things. And I don't think people even think about it. Like, someone that opens up a business or a gym, it's like, right, we're going to open up our business, a gym, here we go, this is it. And they don't take into consideration maybe even the disabled toilet, maybe even access, like wheelchair access and stuff like that. So I think that's a key thing. And, you know, you're giving your users that information, but at the same time, then you can even reach out to the gyms and say, look, I guess that's how you've done it. You've reached out to the gym and put them, no? Okay.
No, so because we're still a startup, our resources means that we're quite limited still. So we can't get into every single gym individually and rate these gyms. But what we've done is we've allowed the users to rate them themselves. So it's up. So we don't do anything. It's up to the user, because, as I said, we're not an expert on every impairment, but the user is. So what we've done is to go, look, you rate the gyms, and if it scores more than 4 stars, we give them our logo in the app. So you know, so it's not an accreditation system, it's not an official one, but it's like an unofficial one driven by the user and not us. Because actually, as I said, we are not experts and you guys are.
And you've got to keep it quite generic as well, I guess, in regards to that, because like you might go into a gym and you go, it's not a problem at all. But then you might have someone with a completely different disability go in there and go, oh, well, this is not good for me at all. And then getting that average score, you're able to then give the logo. Oh, fantastic. Nice. I like that. I really like that.
Yeah, because we know that every impairment is different, especially like for me, for example, I'm very mobile, but we know that other impairments are not and need more support.
That's great. And I really like the community aspect of it. I think that's a real key thing in anything really, in any types of training, and building that strong community of people and seeing other individuals in similar situations to yourself. It is very empowering. It's almost like if you can see someone else doing something, it's like, oh, why can't I do it as well?
Exactly.
So how have you found, so do you have a number on sort of users at the moment on your app?
Yeah, so since July, we've had 3,000 downloads of 1,000 active users.
Wow.
Now, that's quite good considering we've had no marketing and stuff, and it's sort of a startup. But also at the same time, we only semi-cater for a few impairments at the moment. When I say semi-cater, it means that, as you can imagine, the content of filming for every single impairment and the catalogue of exercise that's required and the difficulty levels and the variations of every exercise possible, that's a lot of filming. So actually, we're trying to grow it impairment on impairment rather than having loads of impairments with hardly any content. So I think that's the way to go, because I want the quality to be really high. So yeah, we're literally kind of looking for disabled people that want to film with us so we can put it in the app for future impairments down the line. So yeah, eventually my dream is to have it as the kind of the most accessible fitness app there's ever been, where it caters for not only physical impairments, but invisible impairments and chronic illnesses.
Okay. So what are some of the impairments you've got on there at the moment? So obviously I've looked at it myself, but for my listeners.
So at the moment we've got a single leg amputees, we've got single arm amputees, and we've got spinal cord, mainly tetraplegic. So we're obviously trying to put in more impairments. Now, because it's still so new, I think that's why the uptake would have been much more if we had more impairments in there, because you have to cater for the majority of the disabled community rather than a few. And people thought it was just an amputee app. I'm like, no. If you look at what we've said in the brief, it literally is, you know, an app for everybody. But you're going to have to give us some time and have a little bit of patience, because you know, the filming is it's extensive. It really is.
So are you guys doing all the filming yourself, or are you getting? Because I did see you've got a few ambassadors.
Yeah.
For the actual app itself.
Yeah. So the exercise demonstrators, we call them, they are not elite athletes. They are everyday disabled people in the community, because you have to relate to the community.
Which I think is super important. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm not going to have any Paralympians in there. I'm not going to have any, you know, people that you can't relate to in there. And people ask me, so wait a minute, where do you get the exercises from? Right? Because if you want it to be evidence-based, and there's no evidence out there to support everything that you're doing, where you get these exercises from. Now, we have somebody who is a disabled person who's in a UKSCA accredited S&C coach, strength and conditioning coach. So not only is he disabled, but he's also, you know, accredited to the highest standards when it comes to S&C in the country. So he understands disability. He's worked with loads of impairments at the top level. And we're using him at the moment to write all the content for us. Now, we obviously know that in the future, for it to be truly evidence-based, we have to partner with institutions that do research. So we are now actually looking at university partners that will do that for us, because I honestly feel like, you know, being a researcher myself, it's really important with disability that it has to be evidence-led rather than, you know, we've got therapists, you know, having different views and stuff like that. So eventually it will be an evidence-based app for impairments, because I feel like that's, you know, it has to be just for safety and just learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you're looking at getting future funding as well for not just yourself, but maybe some of the people that want to use it as well. You want to be able to go look like to your local council or government. Here's my evidence, and this is one of these super important things that I'm doing at the moment with some of my clients. So obviously you spoke to Diana. You met Diana that weekend at Perform X, and so one of the things we're looking at doing is we're looking at getting some software where we can start to measure range of motion. With a lot of my clients have cerebral palsy, so measuring range of motion within joints, and then over time we can start to develop this data. And then we can go to the government, go to the councils, which we are sort of doing at the moment. So we've actually launched a 12-week program that's been fully funded for anyone in the local area around here where I live to come on 12 weeks absolutely free, and then they can come and train. But we want to try and access more funding for these people to come and train for free. And I think that's if we can get the data, collect the data itself, we can say it's evidence. You can't argue with the evidence, it's there.
And that's why the explore section is so important, because if the government ever wants to do a study on how accessible is the fitness industry, well, you've got, you know, thousands of disabled people rating these accessibility kind of scales in these gyms. So they actually got data in the app to support or kind of at least drive their policies in the future. And what can be done to help. And I do feel like, you know, eventually we want to get to a place where we are working with the NHS when it comes to rehab programs for the newly injured, that we are kind of, you know, working with charities as well to offer the app at a discount. Because, you know, as I said, when it comes to, you know, we're not a charity, we are a commercial product, but you know, our pricing is at the lowest end it can possibly be. So we're, you know, I didn't want finance to be a barrier. I wanted to be the most accessible fitness app out there. So yeah, I've done everything that I can to make it the cheapest, but also the most accessible app there's kind of ever been. Well, especially kind of the foundations of it anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing as well is keeping that pricing right, because you don't want it too expensive. You don't want to rip people off, essentially, do you? But at the same time, like for myself, that was one of my key things. I was really worried for a long time about my prices and stuff, like what I'm charging, and I'm thinking. A lot of my clients understood. They said, look, you've got to make a living. I said, if I could do this for free, I absolutely would. I love what I do. I love helping people. This is my passion. But at the same time, I've got a mortgage to pay. So
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of, when it comes to disability, a lot of people think that disability is charitable.
Yeah. It's
always charitable. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if we really want the disability community to be part of society and contribute equally, you're gonna have to, it has to be fair, in my opinion. Obviously, growing up, I felt that people kind of looked at me differently in terms of, at least he's trying.
Yeah, like almost like a bit of sympathy to it.
Yeah, I was like, and that sympathy leads to charity. I'm like, no, this is my ability. I want to contribute the same. Do not treat me differently. I'm going to show you my ability, and I think that's the mindset that I come from. So I guess, in my opinion, that's why it was so shocking that there wasn't a fitness app like this, because I was like mind blown that I just couldn't find anything. And that's why I thought, screw it, I want to do it myself and see where I end up. And hopefully there is no market at the moment when it comes to the fitness app industry. But I think what we've done is we've created one. And I hope that in the future we have rivals and competitors to sell people more options. Now, I'm not saying my fitness app is the greatest ever, but I'm hoping that will be rivals where people have a choice and not just my fitness app. That'll be the dream, to actually have rivals and actually open up a new market.
That you can become almost like that domino effect, that you've created this. And that's what I love about this community as well. It's we're all very much in it for each other. Like there's even, like you just said there, like you want rivals, you want people to create more accessible apps, you want people to offer more services like this in the area. Whereas you can find with other business, it's sort of like a bit cutthroat. It's like, no, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to take you out of the business.
Well, I think for me, like there's 1 billion disabled people globally, right? That's 15% of the global population. That's a big market. Like you can 3 or 4, maybe 5, companies can actually serve that population quite easily and make a good living out of it. We, as I said, just because just because it's a commercial product, I don't want to be the only one in this space. Like I want people to have a choice, and hopefully that domino effect means that other companies, bigger brands might actually go, you know what, we like what he's doing, but we can probably better it, or we're finding gaps in the app. Now, obviously, like me being quite critical, we've got a list of 200 things we can make better in the app. So hopefully I create something that actually will challenge companies to think outside the box. And that's what I want in the future. But I guess, for me, rivalry is key because it just improves the standard across the board in the offering.
I think within sports, like rivalry is a key thing as well. Like, that's the reason you competed. Like, you compete because you want to be better than other people, and you want other people to be better than you. So then you can then in turn be better than them. And it's that sort of, as you say, it's that domino effect. Have you had anyone reach out? Any bigger companies? Any other, governing bodies or whatever reach out to you and say, look, I love what you're doing. Can we help you? Can we?
Yeah. So the issue that I have is that companies see this as a tick box exercise. They think, oh, if we're associated, we've ticked that box, we don't have to actually do anything.
Right.
And I felt actually I'm only going to work with companies that actually put their money where their mouth is, and actually kind of contribute to what we're doing rather than using us as a PR stunt. So we've had to kind of let's just say have some difficult conversations about what our expectations are, and when they realize our expectations, a lot of them are like, oh, see you later.
Yeah, we don't really want to touch that. Sorry, too much work.
Well, it's not even work. It's like, things we're going to do all the work. I'm not asking companies to do any work. We're doing all the work. We just want the backing to do it and the resources to do it. And I guess in my mind, these big corporations have got a social responsibility, because disabled customers are still customers, and they seem to be bottom of the pile at the moment. And the question is why? Is it because they're afraid, or there's no appetite? Well, actually, I'm giving them a product that doesn't allow them to do anything when it comes to being at work. We do all the work for them. It's just we want the resources to do that, and to make sure that we actually are making a difference.
I think for a lot of people, it's I think it is that fear, that initial fear. And that's what I found when I was first exploring what I'm doing with my company. And like, people was all, like, when I was having conversations with my client, that's how alternative movement came about, because I was having conversations like, what's your experiences with gyms? What's your experiences with people in social settings and all this sort of stuff? And there was a lot of fear around working with someone with an impairment. It was like, oh, they've got a missing leg, or they've got CP, or they've got a condition. Oh my God, if I do an exercise with them, they're probably going to explode. Like, I'm not going to be able to work with this guy. When in turn, that's not the case at all. Like the CrossFit Open, a couple of weeks ago, I had some of my athletes competing at the gym, and the amount of people that come up to me after and said, I could not complain about anything in my life ever again. These guys just got stuck in and done just as well as us. And I was like, they're no different to you. They're just different. In a wheelchair. They're just different. In a wheelchair. They're just maybe got a neurological condition. Like, and that's what I wanted to create. I want to create that awareness that they walk in the gym and not even a head turns, like, to look at their disability. Their head, maybe they say hello or whatever, but they come in and they're part of the gym. They're part of the community. They're part of normal society, if you want to call it like that. But yeah, I think that's super important, that awareness behind it, and creating that awareness.
I think the fitness industry has got a lot to answer for, in terms of they've tried to kind of change it from the top, but rather than thinking what can we change at the bottom. So, for example, like, PT qualifications don't address disability that much, because obviously I did the PT course probably about.
I teach a PT course.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I did my PT qualifications about 12 years ago. When they first saw me, they're like, "Oh my God, what do we do with him? Like, how is he going to be a PT? He's got no legs." But what we've tried to do is now in the app is that in the future we are launching a personal training academy where PTs get to subscribe to the app, get access to all the impairments, and they get to learn about the exercises. And they go, actually, it kind of helps them like understand about how the exercise can be kind of adapted to various impairments. But also, I think it means that if they learn, they'll be more open to taking on disabled clients if they want to, and it actually expands their network and their client base. So actually, we're kind of going, look to the PTs, like, I know there's no qualification out there and you're scared, but actually here's the app, here's the access, go learn.
Because there's not a great deal online from what I've found. There is some stuff, like, don't get me wrong, there is some stuff online,
but it's dangerous because it's not evidence based. It's just somebody's opinion.
Yeah, you might have one guy, like, I'm trying to think of his name now. I followed him at the very start when I first started, fella in a wheelchair, and he was doing like little workouts and stuff online. But it was just catered for people that was potentially wheelchair users. But then it didn't take into consideration like hip function. It didn't take into consideration other aspects of that disability. Like, someone in a wheelchair could have a neurological condition as well. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's super key. And the education side of things, this is something I'm working on at the moment. So I'm in the process of developing a course, which I am hoping will be delivered. So first of all, it's going to be an online course. It's going to be relatively short, but my hopes for that course is not so much to give like a catalogue of exercises as such, but just to give a bit of understanding. And one of the things I think is key, which I'm putting different in my course, is communication. I think that's a very important thing, because you've probably had it yourself when you've been into a social situation. Someone might not know how to talk to you, and you already mentioned about having that sympathy, that at least he's trying sort of thing, and I want to sort of create a bit of awareness around how to communicate with someone that's in a wheelchair, how to communicate with someone that's got.
Yeah, so I've always encouraged people just to ask me whatever they want to ask. I think asking questions is key to people's learning, rather than being scared of what to say. I guess, like, when people see what I bench press and they stop actually treating me with any sort of sympathy, they're like, oh my God, he's better than anybody I've ever seen. So there's actually no point to feel anything towards him. But yeah, for me, like, I've always been the type of person where asking me questions is the best way. Like, that's how people learn.
So where do you train at the moment? So you're from London, right?
Yeah, so I was training in Loughborough University for 5 years because the National Centre was there. But now being kind of semi-retired, I'm just I've actually not trained in like 6 months.
Have you not? Wow.
No. Yeah, well, after 17 years of killing your body, I just wanted a complete break.
How does that feel? Are you sort of getting a bit of an itch for the training, or?
No, because I'm enjoying the flexibility of my life now in terms of not being in the gym for 20 hours a week. But I guess I'm actually going to go to the gym today for the first time because I do feel like I need to still keep some fitness. So I want to use the app to guide my workout today.
Fantastic, nice. So with the app as well, so one of my questions was like, obviously the people creating their own workouts, they're not personal trainers, they're not going to understand how to create a balanced workout. How have you addressed that in the app?
Yeah, so we got that question last week. Now, we still don't know how to address that problem because, as I said, they're not personal trainers. But the app, it does make it really, really easy to create that program, that session for them. So, for example, when you save a workout, you can kind of schedule it to any date you want because it saves your sessions, and then you can schedule it to any date you want. So what we've done is to counter that, the app makes it very, very easy to write your own training programs and actually track it. So it allows you to put in sets and reps. There's a timer there and everything. But in the future, we're going to have to actually start educating people about what is a balanced training session, what is a balanced program. I think the only way to address it is to probably, because we've got a blog section in the app where we might write maybe some articles on how to do it, or maybe create videos of personal trainers or strength conditioning coaches explaining what balance means. Because I feel like, yet again, like we don't want to give programs out, but we obviously want people to learn. So I think in the future, we're going to have to address it. But I wanted to start from somewhere. And I wanted to, create something that, we can add on in the future. But yeah, you're right. We've got a long way to go in terms of educating people on how to create training programs. But I've tried to counter it in the app in terms of the functionality of it.
Yeah, it's as I say, you're exploring this. This has never been done before, and I think that's the cool thing about this. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just about exploring one avenue.
Yeah, I'm gonna, as I said from the start, like, the community has to be a bit patient with me because one, it's never been done. There's no blueprint and there's no model to really factor it on. So we are really open to work with the disabled community to make it as accessible as possible, as easy to use as possible. So any constructive feedback, just literally send it my way, and we'll consider it in future editions of the app.
Yeah, because definitely that would be sort of my concern in if some without that education of understanding programming, understanding like progressive overload, etc., you would potentially then in turn create them imbalances and stuff, wouldn't you, as well? So how does the template look? So when you create your own program, so you have like, I guess, like a scroll down type thing, you'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the way it works is that you sign in, you get a catalog of exercises, then you can filter it by location, so gym, home, or outdoors, and then by difficulty and equipment and muscle groups. So basically any filter you can think of, and then that gives you a catalog of what the filter is, and then you literally favor the exercises, and that gets transferred into your favored section. From there, you can create a new workout. You can call it what you want, and then that saves in your like library of exercises that you've done with your sessions. Now, what you can do there is when you create a new workout, you get to, track your workouts by putting in the sets and reps, and also you get to kind of schedule it to any sort of date you want. And at the moment, that's been the easiest way to put everything in there without making things complicated. Now, we are looking at other models in the future when we get investment in, because a lot of this costs ridiculous amounts of money to implement. But I thought the budget that I had to focus on, right, how can we make it as simple as possible without overcomplicating it? And at the moment, that's the model we've come to. But because at the end of the day, like fundamentally, it's all about education.
and having the information out there so people get to learn on their journeys. We're more like a community-based fitness app where it's a tool to learn about your body and what you can and can't do, rather than, giving them training programs. And it is going to grow. It's going to grow to hopefully a place where we can actually educate people on how to create training programs, what the principles behind progressive overload, should it be, 4-week cycles or 6-week cycles, and what they should consider. But I think for now, we needed to start from somewhere. And I guess, it is going to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be quite a cool way as well. If you could create that template of like, you create your training blocks, I guess, almost like your training blocks. So then it's done. Like you've got the hypertrophy, you've got strength, you've got power, you've got endurance, etc. And you could almost like then chuck your workouts in now. So sets and reps. And
so for example, that obviously like we give you what in the filter kind of section, you do get what is your kind of goal? Is it power? Is it strength? Is it hypertrophy? And whatever you pick is actually then filtered into the library. So for example, if you're looking at power exercises, you might go, actually, here's some med throws. Here's some explosive, plyometrics. So actually the exercises are there that are to that attribute, but, and you can name them that, and people know if it's power or strength. The issue is actually, what is a balanced training session? And that's something we've not put it in yet.
So what seems to be the most common demographic you're getting within the disabled community of users at the moment?
Yeah, so this is actually it's actually shocked us. So at the moment, 55% are female.
Wow. Yes. Okay, that's shocked me as well, because I would say 90% of my clientele are men.
I was like, that's incredible.
You know what? That makes perfect sense. You know what? I think maybe because within the community, like, because I've not seen as many females coming forward, maybe there is that little bit of fear still for females or women within the disabled community to come forward and say, I need help, I want to come to a group class, where men are more likely to take that risk, a bit more confident in taking them risks. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And the age is over 35s, which is the majority.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually, we've gotten to, big, like, in the fitness industry, to get women to outdo the men in any sort of fitness app is actually quite an incredible thing. So for us to do it initially is, the stats shocked me. But obviously, like, as I said, it's only 3,000 downloads. We can't really generalize. We'll see when we get 100,000 downloads or 1 million downloads, see what happens then. But I think at the moment, early signs suggest that women really do want a product like this, especially in the disability community.
Yeah, because maybe it might even be that catalyst to push them into going into a gym.
Yeah,
where now they've gained a bit more confidence and understanding around it. Why do you think that is? Why do you think women are less likely to, especially women within the disabled community, to maybe take that jump and go to a gym or go to a group class?
I think it's a lack of confidence of the knowledge in that gym. So, like, do they know my impairment? Am I intimidated by, men in the gym? Is it busy? Am I anxious that they don't have the equipment that I need? I have to travel to the gym. Is it accessible enough for me? There's loads of things going on there that actually might stop disabled women of going to the gyms. But I thought, well, if you give them a grounding of information so they get to learn about exercises in the gym, they don't have to rely on a personal trainer to do them. They can go to the gym and go, actually, the app goes, actually, I can do a lat pull down, and this is how I do it. And so every video, regardless of impairment, has a voiceover and subtitles as well. So actually, like, it explains it very well. The demo is really clear, and it tells you what muscle groups are being worked. So if you give people that understanding, they're more likely to have confidence of going to the gym, because actually they don't need to rely on anybody else. Where I think in a disability community, you're relying on other people that you potentially don't know to help you, and that's been the issue. Now, for example, if you do need help, so we know that some impairments do need help in terms of like spotters and potential kind of carers to load and unload bars and stuff. Well, in the app, eventually we're going to get like an assistance kind of function where videos, you can actually pick that function, and all the videos are performed by the person with your impairment, but also by a spotter to understand how a spotter should behave.
Okay, yeah.
So actually, when you go to the gym, you might not know a spotter, but you go, actually, look, this is how I need you to spot me. So actually, the spotter also understands how to spot somebody that's disabled. So yeah, eventually we're going to get to that sort of level of actually taking away the external factor and them being very independent and very like empowered to go to the gym, because actually they've got the information there.
And then obviously then the user will know how to, if they are in the gym and they've got someone else in the gym, oh, could you give me a spot? They know how to explain how to spot them as well.
Exactly, without any awkwardness.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing as well. That's one of the things I've really started to implement in my classes as well. Like, because I think I run a class with wheelchair users, people that can walk, but obviously, as I said, like limb difference and stuff. And it's not just educating on how to do the exercise, but also how to spot other people, because I'm running the class by myself. You know, there is coaches floating about, and I can't have eyes on everyone. And I think that's the key thing, is not just empowering the person doing the exercise, but also empowering the person that's spotting the individual and making sure everyone's safe. And it's quite cool to watch some of my guys when they're helping each other out, and
they have to learn quite quick.
Yeah, how quick they are on mate, they're quicker than me. Like this lad in the wheelchair, I watched one of my videos back, and this lad in the wheelchair was behind someone, and as the guy who was spotting went to put the bar on the racket, just slipped. Man, he was so fast. He got there, locked it in place. Everyone was safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing behind it as well, is that safety aspect.
But it's allowing disabled people to show you their ability rather than seeing them as, you know, they need a lot of help. Because if you allow people to be themselves, you're more likely to learn way more. Exactly.
And I think it's creating that awareness to see past that disability, and then to see them capabilities and the cool things that the people can do, that we're all capable of doing.
I think for me, like, it's a travesty that something like this did not exist before, before now. I'm not saying that I'm not saying we're geniuses for doing it. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
It should have been common sense years ago. And I just couldn't believe it's never been done. So I'm hoping,
and that's probably why you didn't discover it sooner, because you almost thought in your head, like, it must be done, because you went away and tried to find it.
I literally assumed it's been done. I just wanted to see what it looked like. That's what it was. It was just I was just curious. Maybe, being an elite sport, I was protected of the realities because I have been privileged. But yeah, I thought this is a travesty. And nobody seemed to have the appetite because they were scared, as you said. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be scared. I'm just going to go all in and see where it end up, basically.
So what sort of like promoting you done for this? So obviously you went to PerformX. So was you just there as like a guest, or was you there promoting the app as well?
No, so I was just there to network with the fitness industry, to sell them that this does exist, and if they want to do stuff together, we can talk about it. I was actually quite disappointed with the event because it had no disability focused talks when it comes to in fitness. So hopefully we're going to be there next year, hopefully to try bridge that gap.
I'll come and support you 100%.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in that sense. But I felt like for me, what I'm doing now is kind of, promoting social media, doing loads of talks to say this does exist, and just getting it out there in the kind of the gym communities, and actually talking to charities that actually we've got something here if they want to, promote it and, give it to the users or their members. But yeah, like, it's going to take a long time before I feel like we're at a place where, our marketing strategies are going to be great. Because obviously, like as I said, like, I'm not an expert on every single impairment, so our marketing strategies have to be very specific to the community. So that's going to take a long time to really learn on what people really need.
Oh, definitely. There's an event this weekend coming, isn't there? National Fitness Games.
I'm going to be. We will be there, and we are offering.
You'll be there.
Yeah, we are.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I'll see you there then, because I'm going.
Okay, you're coming.
Yeah. I didn't know actually, because I think Diana did say you was going, so I was going to ask you the question: do I need to get a ticket to go and spectate?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know,
because I looked online and I was like, right, you can buy a ticket for to compete, but I couldn't see any spectators. And I did speak to one woman that's going to be there. She's competing in short stature, Miranda Button.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of her. So she's competing in, and she said like it's free for spectators. So
okay, that's fine.
I don't know whether I just rock up or.
If you rock up and I'll just say that you're with me, on the stand with me, it'll be fine.
Okay, so you've actually got a stand there. You're not just going there as a spectator.
No. So they've given us space to kind of have the app there, and we're offering every single category a free subscription to the app.
Oh, perfect. Okay, you can be my getting guy.
Yeah.
What time was you getting there?
We'll probably get there from the start, I guess.
Oh, so,
yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because is this the first one? Because I didn't.
It's the first one ever to have an adaptive categories at this sort of level. Obviously, it's going to grow every year with the numbers, but I think they're doing an incredible thing of actually having a standalone, categories.
Sure.
As you see, like adaptive CrossFit in America is huge. I think it's going to filter to us eventually. We are still behind here, but I think that actually
England's always about 5 years behind.
Yeah, 5 years behind. So I feel like them doing what they're doing, could hopefully reduce that gap. And yeah, so that's why we were there, because felt that actually we want to support it.
Is it? I don't really know how many athletes are competing there on the weekend. Do you know?
I don't know either, but I've spoken to some adaptive athletes and they've all signed up. So I'm hoping for a big showing.
I'll be interested to see some of the guys there, because I've been sort of having some comms with a few of the people that I've sort of met through social media, and that was the amazing thing when I first started my social media page. Like I was a bit fearful being an able-bodied person, to be honest. Like putting this out there, I didn't want to seem like because I've been working with these guys for a long while, and I didn't really want to put them out there and be like almost like, look at me, I work with disabled people, sort of thing. And it wasn't that at all. I put it out there and people was like, we need this. Like we need, like, why is no one else doing this? And the same for yourself. And you probably found that as soon as you started chucking out some information and putting your app out there, everyone was like, why is no one doing this?
Yeah, like we've got on like inquiries from all over the world, and I feel like actually really upset that I can't offer it in any country just yet.
So can your app not be used in any other country?
No, at the moment it's only based in the UK. We're going to try. So, but what we've done is to make it easier to scale to other countries, because it's obviously every exercise has got a voiceover and subtitles. We don't have to do the filming again. All we can do is basically just translate it to other countries, because obviously you just have to do the voiceovers again and just kind of translate the subtitles. So we've made it as easy as possible to scale to other countries and make it easy and accessible. But at the moment, we're only just based in the UK. So I'm hoping that the launch of America, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada probably next year. Yeah,
cool. That'll be pretty good. That'll be if you can get over in America. So there's nothing like that in America at the moment, is there? Like the app, because
there's an app called I think it's like there's one app, but it's more of a community-based app that has fitness elements into it. But it's all about workouts, general workouts, and it gives programs rather than what we're doing, where it's actually all about education and people learning. I just felt like that was the way to go rather than programming.
Yeah, because I think what's the company that's doing it at the moment? Is it an American company? Is it Bulldog Athletics? They started doing adaptive programs. Or is it Underdog Athletics?
I don't know. I think so. So the app is called, I think, Para for Performance. It got launched, I think, last year, because they were kind of ahead of us in their journeys. But their ones are more of a kind of fitness, workout kind of tailored workouts, I think, rather than what we're doing. As I said, I think whatever, like for us, we welcome any apps out there, to be honest.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So reverting back to CrossFit as well, I think the CrossFit methodology works very well for adaptive athletes. As you said, like it's growing in America. It's becoming huge, and also in the UK, it's starting to spill over the UK. I know a few athletes that have gone out. There's one, Charlotte Cobes. She competed last year, so I had her on a podcast as well. She competed in the upper extremity. Ross Austin,
our ambassador in the UK.
I've had him on the podcast as well. Cool guy. So what sort of stuff is he doing with you guys then? Is he gonna do any filming content stuff? Because I know he expressed that he was looking at doing he's doing his YouTube channel where he's putting adaptive exercises and stuff on there as well.
Yeah, so with Ross, we kind of approached him about, because obviously like his impairment's actually in the app at the moment. And we wanted to kind of, one, for him to go through it and go, actually, this is rubbish or it's good. And two, basically just to kind of, if he believes in it, to, promote it and, spread the word. And when he looked at the app, he's like, oh my God, this is incredible. Oh, the potential could be even bigger. So yeah, he was on board straight away. Luckily for us.
Yeah, because he had quite a big following at one time. Because I know I think that's quite lucky because I got him on my podcast because he had a really big following, like 100+K or whatever. Yeah. And then someone stole his account. He had to start again. So I was like, I just came across his account, like I didn't know who he was, messaged him and said, like, I've seen what you're doing, seen your training, looks really cool. So lucky enough, I managed to get in there and he jumped on the podcast and I got to have a conversation with him.
I think the adaptive space, or adaptive CrossFit, is actually interesting because Ross did ask me, like, is there scope of having adaptive CrossFit in the app? And I said, well, I think we are going to have to think about on-demand content in the future. So at the moment, the foundation are the exercises for education, but we know that different people like doing things in different ways to keep fit. And maybe an on-demand section when it comes to, I don't know, adaptive HIIT, adaptive yoga, adaptive mobility, maybe it will be a thing in the future that we put into the app. And maybe adaptive CrossFit could be one of them.
Oh, 100% think it should be 100%. It works. CrossFit works. Like it's fun. It's the community aspect of it. It's the style of workouts, how the programmings work. They're very interesting. They're not just your standard sets and reps, which are great. But I feel like, CrossFit has got that sort of edginess to it and that coolness to it as well. And I think that's what a lot of people say to me, like with CrossFit and like any category, we see it and we see the elite levels doing these workouts and almost for a while, I think it became like people were scared to do CrossFit because they thought there had to be some sort of like Adonis, some sort of machine.
Yeah.
And I think that started to be broken down now. And especially like what I saw over the open week, because the gym I work at and I run my company from, obviously we done the open and it was just to see like complete beginners training, to see like intermediate people, advanced, and then like your super athletes. Like my missus is one of them. She's doing her quarterfinal workout today. Actually, she's an absolute beast. But yeah, so and then obviously the adaptive category, and it was just so cool to be in that environment with so many different levels of people. And oh man, it was buzzing. Honestly, I'm still buzzing from it. It was like 2 weeks ago.
I told Ross that I'll come down for a session and see how much I survive.
Have you ever done any CrossFit workouts or?
No, so like as an elite athlete, we're not really allowed to do any other sports because if we get injured, then we can't do the sport that we get paid for. So, my job was to bench press. It wasn't to do anything else. But now, obviously, being, kind of semi-retired now and not an elite sport, I can start doing whatever I want. So I might actually think about doing a session and see if I enjoy it.
Well, mate, I say you're more than welcome at any point to come down to the gym that I work at and do one of our adaptive sessions.
Yeah, pleasure. It'd be great.
So you said you're in London, didn't you? How far out?
Tottenham.
Tottenham. Oh, okay. Not too far. Yeah. People always think, I'm in Thurrock, Essex, Grays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I think a 30-minute train ride.
Yeah, well, I can probably drive there in like 45 minutes, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, you're invited at any point. So I run sessions Monday night, 7:15 at the moment, but I'm trying to trying to build them up a little bit. And I will be looking at putting on an event at some point. Once I'd start to build the classes up a little bit more, get a bit more uptake, and then I will be looking at doing I'd love to do something like National Fitness Games, dude. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
That'd be so
cool. I think you'll learn a lot on the weekend, next weekend.
So who are you down there with? You going down there with the co-founder of the app?
So I'll be there with, I think, he'll be there. We're going to have a stand there and just hand out flyers and just kind of talk people through the app, and hopefully they look at it and go, actually, this is actually quite decent.
Just promote the hell out of it. So how can others help you? So like, how can anybody help you? So not just your athletes, not just like, how can your everyday person with a disability help you develop your app more so?
Yeah, so at the moment, we are expanding our focus group. So from the start, I knew that because I wasn't an expert on everything, I needed to have a disability focused group where they come on the journey with me from the start. So we've had them every single step of the way, providing feedback. So at the moment now, for us to really think about other impairments coming into the app in the future, we want other disabled people to come on board and actually go, right, the app's good, but for my impairment, I need this, I need this, I need this. So as much constructive feedback as possible. So what we're trying to do is encouraging disabled people just to download the app, use it, and give us feedback. But obviously, if their impairment's not in there, they can still use it for the social hub and the explore section. So they can go to the gyms and start rating things, which is very accessible for everyone. And obviously, until we get, 20, 30, 40 impairments in there, that's when we're going to get the most of the data in terms of, how good is the app in terms of being accessible. But at the moment, because we've only got a few impairments, it's really important that we have people in the focus group with impairments down the line.
Nice. Okay, so there is an opportunity for not just your top end athletes to take part in it.
No, so the app is it's a community-based fitness app, so it is at recreational level for disability. So anybody can use it, from complete novice and rehab all the way up to the seasoned gym gym athletes, where they actually go quite often.
That's cool, man. It's a really cool app. Like, as I say, this is something like I've always thought about that needed to be done. But as you say, I'm no app developer. I'm not a massively great businessman.
Yeah, me either. Help! Somebody help me.
No, but it's cool, man. I think it takes people like yourself that doesn't have that experience but has a little bit of bollocks to go, you know what? I'm going to do this. I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't understand this, but you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And I think it takes someone a bit ballsy to break them barriers. And I think people appreciate that. People appreciate honesty. Like, I love the fact that like I can say to someone, I don't know the answer, but I'll tell you what, give me a couple of days. I'll find it out, or I'll find someone that knows the answer to help you.
That's the fundamental. When I first launched it, I said to people, look, you have to be patient with me. The idea is there, the potential's there, but I'm just not a world-leading expert on impairments. I'm not a doctor. I'm sorry. I'm just like an elite athlete with a disability.
and some balls to make some stuff happen. Just
passionate, I guess, and unshocked that this doesn't exist. That's what it was. I was shocked that it didn't exist, and I thought if I didn't do it, I don't think people would have the courage to do it.
I don't think someone would do something like this for a long while, to be honest with you.
When I spoke to, like able-bodied people, for example, they said they'd potentially been very scared to even think about it. Like, yes, they knew it was needed, but they didn't know where to start. They didn't have no clue where to start. And I think that was the issue of, right, how is an app going to even look like when we're not experts?
And that's the thing. It's a little bit of that imposter syndrome. How can you create something when you're not seeing it from the perspective of someone else?
Yeah, I guess from my point of view is that now, because it is now out there and it does exist, I'm hoping that big brands go, actually, it exists now. Let's back this to the very, very end and see that actually we can offer our disabled employees access to this app as a reward for working for us. That's why I want businesses to actually go to me, look, actually, we've got loads of disabled employees. We want them to be active. We want to offer them gym memberships. We know that gyms are not accessible, but here's the app.
So do you have levels within your app? So subscription levels?
Yeah, so there's a monthly one, a quarterly one, a 6-month one, and a year one. Now, it's $11.99 a month at the moment, but if you pay for the year, it's £65 for the year, which actually averages out at £4.90 a month if you average it, which actually makes it the most cheapest fitness app potentially on the market.
It's extremely cheap.
Yeah, on the market. As I said, finance couldn't be a barrier here. I wanted everyone to have access to it. So the prices are as low as I can physically afford at the moment. So there is a free version. There is a free version of the app. So yeah, there is a free version, and then if you want unlimited access, there's a subscription-based model. Yeah,
I did see that, because you when I signed up to it. And that's the thing. I signed up to it when I was sitting there, right, I'm going to sign up to this, and I had to select an impairment. I was like,
unfortunately, 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 it doesn't cater
what do I put?
Unfortunately, it doesn't cater for everybody. People, I'm sorry, guys, you've got loads of options. But yeah, it's specific. It's designed for people with
No,
disabilities.
I don't think you need to apologise for that, man. I think you need to look, that's it. Like it's an app for people with disabilities. Like, oh, I mean, I'll sign up to it because I wanted to explore it, and it's going to definitely benefit some of my clients for sure. Yeah, I felt a bit of an imposter then when I was like,
Oh no, actually, you give good feedback, because actually, eventually, like, we can say, if you haven't got all these impairments, are you a PT? Are you a sports therapist? Are
Dude,
you a
I
physio?
tell you what, that's what you need.
So
You need upper extremity, lower extremity, seated, blah 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 blah. Coach.
yeah, exactly. So
Coach
actually,
section.
like, yeah, so like, actually, like, that's a very good point. And eventually, hopefully, we do get, you know, people that do work within the NHS or have that sort of medical background to look at and go, actually, I can use this with rehab like patients.
So does it or could it have that potential? Well, I definitely could have that potential for like someone, like you could reach out to PTs and say, like, this is, so for me, this would be fantastic if you could send, like, if I had this app and I could download it and go, right, I've got my own subscription where then I can add my clients to it and then prescribe their workouts. That would be super cool.
Yeah. So that's what I mean.
Because there is apps like that out there for PTs anyway, like for their clients, but there's nothing out there like that for.
Yeah. So I think you make a good point. So what we were looking at the moment is, what is the personal training offering that we can give personal trainers? To one, encourage them to have more disabled clients. Two, to allow disabled people to be comfortable picking a personal trainer. And three, how do we really educate PTs on impairments without having to go through a massive, expensive course? Well, obviously, we're not accredited or anything, it's just information, right? So we thought, you know, having a personal training academy where PTs subscribe to the app, they get to learn about the exercise of different impairments and they get to implement it in their own practices. But you are right, eventually it's going to have to be creating a template of, you know, programs in terms of what exercises you put in with different impairments for that PT or for all that client base. But as I said, that's way down the line, and it's something that's in my to-do list in a couple of years. So I might actually reach out to you to help.
Absolutely, dude. If there's anything I can do to help, like, I'm always happy to help people. Like, if it means that I can help my community, what I'm working with, then 100%, I'll give it my all. And I think that could be quite cool as well, like to have a list of PTs on there, similar to the gyms, like a list of gyms. Have also a list of adaptive coaches in the area, like who definitely can I go to? Because that was one of the things, like I've had clients that come with me now, like, there was a bit hesitant because I don't just want to go with a PT that's going to shout and scream at me or not know what to do or not know how to address my disability. Whereas if one of your users could go on there and go, right, do you know what, I'm ready to have a PT. Let's have a look on this app. Right, PT's in Grays. Oh, okay, Craig's one of these PTs. He's an adaptive coach. Reach out to him, and I think that would break down a lot of barriers as well.
It will, knowing that PTs get a rating in the app in terms of accessibility.
Hopefully, I'll get a 5-star.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, so like for me, it's like PTs would want to score highly in the app. It's a bit like gyms; they want to score highly, right? So it actually ups their game to learn and keep learning and developing, and actually it puts the emphasis on the fitness app community, well, the fitness community in general. That actually personal training courses have to be adaptive. They have to have adaptive elements to it for you to qualify. Without that, you don't qualify. So eventually the emphasis goes on education and the industry, and that's what we're trying to do, make them accountable. But we're doing it in a way that's hopefully evidence-based and user-based, rather than just keep complaining and shouting at them. Basically.
No, it's awareness at the end of the day. That's why I've never had like an issue with people not understanding like certain things, and I've always stood up for PTs when like a client's going, oh, I was with this PT and he just didn't understand my condition. And I was like, he's a personal trainer. He's not an expert. I've only got good at this because I'm willing to learn. I love learning. I love exploring movement. And I've got the confidence that I'm happy to tell you to do something. Like if you're on the floor, like arriving in agony, I'm going to tell you to get back up. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to pussyfoot around you. Like I want you to explore what you can do as well as I want to explore what you can do as well.
And that's the problem with the fitness industry, because they don't teach you. There's no kind of subject on different impairments, how you should train them, how you should communicate, what are the barriers, how do you break them down. There's nothing really like that in the PT qualifications from what I remember.
So, no, there's not at all. Actually, I've got a client that's looking to do his PT qualification, a young lad named Callum in a wheelchair, got cerebral palsy. And obviously I run the course. So I can adapt that. So I will understand how I can adapt that for him, and in doing so, hopefully, then I can create something off the backs of that. And,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think that'd be so cool.
I think eventually, what I want to do down the line is, if we have got PTs using the app, I'd love to get them at our conference and go, right, if we had to make a qualification for PTs having an adaptive element to it, what is it? How do we do it? What's the topics? What's the impairments? How do we do it? How do we communicate it? How do you pass? Let's do it as a community together, rather than the the national governing bodies that actually relegate this. Instead of them kind of creating something that actually is not really evidence based and user driven.
Mate, this is what I'm creating at the moment. This is what I'm in the process of doing. I'm creating a course for PTs to be able to adapt their sessions. So hopefully we'll be having that conversation a little bit later down the line. As I say, I'm not academic. Sure. It's also creating a course. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
No, but I think forget about the academic side. It's about one, starting something, two, something that can grow and have potential, and three, eventually get the attention of the regulators to start implementing this into their PT training. But also it encourages the person, the fitness community, to encourage disabled PTs to come forward and actually take these courses, because there's not enough disabled PTs out there. So there's lots of able-bodied PTs, but disabled people would actually want someone they can relate to. And if I want to, there's a disabled personal trainer and I'm disabled, actually, you know what, they might have more experiences than other PTs. That's why I'm going to go to them. So actually you're creating a market for disabled PTs to flourish and be part of that environment.
And I think that's super, because I've been speaking to a couple. There's one guy that I speak to. His name's Danny Dawood. I don't know if you've heard of him. So he's got brittle bones, and he's up in Wigan, and he's a personal trainer. He works in the gym. He's got brittle bones. He's in a wheelchair, and he's a PT. And he's fantastic. He's brilliant. He amazing. Absolutely smashes it. And I think that's, after speaking to him, I was like, right, this needs to be done. So with what I do, my goal is, sorry, mate, I'll go on about my goals all the time. So with my goal, I wanted to create classes where people can come in and train. And then at that point, if you want the opportunity to do a course, fantastic. I'm going to pick you. You're going to come and do a course. I will teach you the course. Fantastic. Now you're a personal trainer. Right. How do you start working? Well, I'll run classes. Do you want to coach for me? And it would be that sort of cycle I wanted to create, of people coming on to train. Anyone that's interested in becoming a coach, they can then become a coach, and then they go back into the system where they then run the classes. So I'm well far off of that just at the moment, but that would be my vision. And it would be so cool to create opportunities for people like that, where some of my clients I spoke to, I said, how are you getting on finding a job? And they're going, yeah, my job advisor gave me a couple of jobs, and one of them, I had to laugh at it, as a bus driver. He said, do you want to be a bus driver? He's like, I'm in a wheelchair, mate, and I'm 18. I ain't got a driver's license. And I was like, no. I went, no, please tell me you're joking. He didn't tell you that. He went, yeah. And the other one was a bar staff. He was like, I can't see over the bar. I was like, you can't see over the bar. I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to be a personal trainer. I said, why the flipping hell are they offering you these jobs? I said, right, go and have a chat with them. Go and get some funding. We'll go and do your course. We'll get that sorted.
So to put it into context about how backwards some people are, when I first came up with the idea, somebody asked, they said that they didn't know that disabled people actually wanted to go to the gyms. They're like, oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, what, you don't want to just stay in a dark room all day?
I was like, what planet are you on? That's insane that you've even said that. If you think that, then is it just you, or is it quite a lot of people that think that? If it is, then we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble if a lot of people think that way. So I'm hoping, with the app and what you're doing, we can just go, nope, this is what we want, and this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to keep breaking the system until we get some sort of recognition for it in terms of making things really accessible.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Look, I think your goals, what you're doing, and that's why I wanted to reach out to you today or the other day and speak to you, because I think this app is really cool, and I'm really excited for it because it's in the really early stages, and I can see that potential, and it's so early, but it's doing very well considering it's in the early stages, and that's just proved that there is a need for it, and you're doing the right things, and you seem pretty level-headed, a grounded guy, and you seem like you're very passionate about what you're doing. I'm excited, and as I said to you, mate, if I can help in any way, I'm here. No, I'm not just saying that. I mean that. If you need any help on the app, and I'm sure we can have more conversations this weekend when I see you at National Fitness Games. Yeah, you can tell me more about it, and I can spread the message, so to speak.
Awesome. Thank you,
dude. Thank you so much for jumping on today. I know we moved it a little bit forward, so I'm assuming you've got to shoot off. So we'll end the podcast there. But dude, yeah, guys, if anyone wants to check out Ali's stuff, I'll tag his profile, his Instagram, etc. on Spotify and YouTube. And yeah, please check it out. It's cool. Ali, thank you so much for coming on today, and enjoy the rest of your beautiful Saturday. It's very sunny outside.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.